When you think of a leader, what people come to mind? If you're like me, you might think of world-changing revolutionaries, business elites, or the people on the back of our money. Leaders like Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., or Malala Yousafzai. Or perhaps you think of celebrities who have large platforms and huge followings like LeBron James or Kendall Jenner. Or maybe when you think of a leader, it's not so much the person, but the position you think of, like presidents, prime ministers, directors, or your school principal. What about you? Do you consider yourself a leader? Do others see you as a leader? Does the idea of you being a leader make you feel comfortable or weird? I know for me, the idea of being a leader has always felt kind of off. I've always thought of leaders as, big personalities who rally the troops, and that's never really been my thing, so being a leader really never felt like it applied to me. I think a lot of us do something like this. In our attempts to define leadership, we identify it with a certain type of person, and then we disqualify ourselves as not being that. Leaders, we might think, are people who are charismatic, dominant, good at public speaking, extroverted, really confident, or super popular with millions of followers. If you can identify with these feelings, you're in good company. But know this, if you find yourself not fitting the classic mold of a stereotypical leader, don't stress. Because once you start paying attention, you'll notice that for many leaders, it doesn't always feel natural. The truth is, there are many different types of leaders. There is no cookie-cutter mold of what it means to be a leader. There's no one complete package of skills, traits, principles, and laws that if you meet them all, suddenly you have the perfect leader. This isn't to say that skills and traits are unimportant, because they definitely are. And in fact, we're going to be exploring some things that are really beneficial. It's simpler to see that skills and traits are tools in a leader's toolbox that help them lead, and not requirements for being a leader. Did you know that in over 50 years, there have been over 1,000 different books and articles that have attempted to identify the ideal leader? If anything, this proves how difficult of a concept it is to nail down. Part of the problem is the way we come to conclusions about what is ideal leadership. This tends to involve only the world of business. The process usually looks something like this. 1. We identify certain powerful companies, organizations, or governments, and we ask ourselves who led them during their growth or difficult periods. 2. We then take a look at these movers and shakers of these groups and ask what qualities they possessed. 3. We find out which qualities are shared by the most people, and then conclude that these qualities are ideal or essential ingredients of good leadership. That the more of these qualities you possess, the better a leader you will be. Does that sound familiar? Here's the thing though, and this is the thing we need to think about carefully. We all have different ideas of what success looks like. And these ideas influence and change our definitions of leadership. Are we talking about economic success, that the ideal leader is the person who helps companies net greater profits? Or is success about whether the people they lead like them, trust them, care about them? Or is success about some higher mission or purpose and the moral good that is achieved? Or maybe something entirely different? Another issue is that while we're really good at pinpointing these certain qualities, we often fail to recognize the truly unique aspects of each person's leadership expression. Things like life experiences that no one else has are not things we can simply mimic or adopt for our own. The way a person's leadership is expressed is influenced by many factors, like their upbringing, culture, ethnicity, interests, values, and experiences. In order to capture what many of us would intuitively think of when we hear the word leader or leadership, we need to start with a broader, more inclusive perspective. And here, I have a proposal, not as a single comprehensive mold or set of rules or styles, but as a framework to work within. I want us to think of a leader as someone who positively influences others toward a common goal. And that's it. No add-ons or required skill sets. I recognize that the meaning of the word has evolved over time, but I think it's neat that the first known use of the English word leader was in 1300 CE, and it meant a guide or someone who leads a person or animal by the hand. In this sense, a leader is someone who goes first, serves others, and helps a team accomplish a goal they couldn't achieve by themselves. Defining it this way includes, of course, businessmen and women and leaders like heads of state. But we can quickly see that it presents more possibilities and opportunities for everyday people like you and me to see ourselves as leaders too. In this sense, leadership is not a special gene only some people are born with. Rather, it's a way of behaving and relating with others that will look differently to each person. This is key. We need to understand this because how we see ourselves affects the actions that we take. And hey, if you don't need to hear this for yourself, maybe you need to hear it so that you see others as just as capable of leadership as you are. For this series, we're going to take a look at a few different tools that can help us grow as leaders. But in the meantime, I want you to reflect on the following questions. Have you ever been put in or chosen a position of leadership? What was it, and how did it go? Remember that we are defining a leader as someone who positively influences others toward a common goal. Is there anything that you would add or take away from that definition? And what do you think of the idea that anyone can be a leader?